Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Sean Nefdt, another episode of Unsung Heroes. Today we're interviewing Joseph Nefdt, who happens to be my older brother, my puta, my mentor, and a big part in my life he played, and where I'm politically conscious today, he has played a big role in that process as well. Good day, Joseph. How are you?
Hi, Sean. I'm good. Thank you for the compliment.
Joseph, tell us a little bit about your history. I know it humbly started, basically, your political activism started in an overpark. How did it go about? How did you decide today is the day I decide to join the struggle, as it were?
Yeah, Sean, life wasn't easy for us at that time in Overpark. We didn't have much. And I think I was in matric when Patricia Abrams came around and said that you can come to the youth, or the youth wing as it was called, part of the civic movement.
Joseph, if I can just interrupt you.
Yeah.
Was this in the 80s already when you were matric, or did it start off at the 1976 level? I know I was standard 5 or standard 4 when it was 1976, and I saw Mount View, the school next door, throwing stones and the police coming on. Was your political awareness a little bit before that, or did it start at the matric level, like you say?
No, it was a little bit before that. As you know, in '76 I was in standard 6, grade 8 now, and we became conscious then little bit on what happened in Soweto, and people being forced to take their subjects in Afrikaans, and we also like joined, but not really being completely conscious, as we were still young, 13 years old. And then throughout the student years, it went on and on and on. 1980, I was matric. It was a terrible year, like 1980. So I was basically conscious about apartheid and so on. But what really pushed us was the youth wing. Like I said, like when Patricia came and she took us like to the youth initially, and we just became more conscious of what's it about, and really getting active in the fight against apartheid, becoming conscious. And here we were targeted, like you are now a part of being actively confronting the state because you thought apartheid was wrong, not knowing much about class struggle or whatever, but basically more realistically knowing apartheid is not a thing that's okay.
Yes, and I think also to do a lot with a different type of education. We were very much focused on education at the time. We called our system gutter education, which was not really gutter. Now that we think back, but at the time, a lot of things that happened in the white schools wasn't done in the brown and black schools, which was even worse off than the brown schools, as it were. You were saying that you joined this movement, the Nova Youth Movement, and that is really where the activism started. You mixed with people like the likes of Albert Fritz, them, Ryland Fisher, them, Mr. De Vries, the De Vrieses, as it were, and a lot of other people that is now quite politically active. You rub shoulders with them, as it were, and you became and quite a figure of note yourself in this movement. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Look, not initially. Initially, we were just not in the leadership. Like you had Donnie Jurgens, like being the chair for long years. After him, I think Patricia and Ryland took over. Ryland Fisher and Patricia Abrams took over the youth movement and so on. So after that, I left the youth. Like I had to leave to go to Bonteheuwel. I joined the Bonteheuwel youth at one stage just for a short period also. Met the guys like Anton Franz and who
Ashley,
else?
Ashley Creel and
no, I didn't meet
at
Ashley
the time.
Creel and
Not
so
at the
on.
time.
Yeah. Other youth members, I just can't. Trevor and Robert Boom, what's her name? Even Henrietta, I met her. I don't think she can remember that.
No, she remembers you well. I actually asked her. She said, "But that Joseph, I know."
But anyway, they taught me about Anton Franz and that other guy, this general, I kind of, he taught me how to throw bombs and uh, uh, um, yeah. So I left Bontebal very soon after to because I was at college, and I became just not involved. So when I went to college to study to become a teacher, I just came in innocently, a sporty guy. I love sports, like. So this other comrade from Nova Park Youth saw me, said, "Yeah, you Joseph Neff, eh? You are activists, come help us here with dishing out pamphlets and so on, Felicity de Vries that time."
Okay.
Yeah, you can help. So I got involved with student politics again. And that was 85, terrible times. I mean, before, I think 83, 84, 85. So terrible times there again. And we were like crazy at college, like just not allowing things.
Yeah, I think also Hewitt was at the forefront of the struggle at the time.
Oh,
I think.
yeah. We never allowed people like to write at one stage, and we were disruptive in a sense. With me being like in the niche, I think I've made a lot of enemies because we were only a few like really not wanting to write the exams. You know how important exams are, and then we were like almost bullying like the others, chasing them off the college, and they had to go write with police protection and so on. And I conked out. I ended up in a hospital. And everything is over. Felicity became my girlfriend, and later on my wife also. So she also played a major role in informing me in politics because I wasn't really afterwards interested and so on.
Yeah, I think as a family we were always involved to a certain level, but I think that the step that you took just took you to a certain level above that. So you became actively involved in the politics of the time.
Yeah.
And I know that there was an incident where it was just too much and you landed up in hospital at one stage.
Just conked out. I don't know what happened.
Sure.
And then when I woke up, she said, "Joseph, it's over. It's fine.
Oh.
Don't worry." And,
but then after that you still went on. I remember an incident where you went pamphleteering for the ANC at the time, and that was before liberation, as it were. And the cops picked you up.
No, it wasn't really for the ANC. It was, look, we were from the Civic. I later joined the Civic, and we speak with Fatima Swartz and Harold Davids and so on. And we were part of KAC, Cape Housing Action Committee, which is part of the UDF. So we had this pamphleteering session. Governor Mbeki was going to be released, and we were pamphleteering. And then I didn't know a murder was committed in a court. It was late night, and I just handed out pamphlets and so on. I thought, oh, you're all the people and so on. And then this police were there and just took me. And a riot was caused in that court, eh? I think, what's his name? Cliffy Fritz, Bertus Fritz.
Rather.
He told me afterwards, because they used to work like the whole thing like there. It was as a late Cliffy Fritz, by the way. They started like a thing there with the police, and it was fights and so on. But anyway, they were so shocked. They didn't know. The MPPs didn't tell them that this was happening, that we pamphleteering for Governor Mbeki's release and so, because he was going to be released, so he wanted people to be at his reception at UWC. So they were shocked. So I was taken in and then spent some time in solitary confinement, and then a week in Portsmouth. And so,
do you want to tell us just a little bit more about that experience? A lot of people hasn't gone through that you've gone through. I mean, it must have been traumatic. I remember specifically you just had your first child at this stage.
Yeah.
And I think she was 1 year old or 1.5 years old. And I remember when we came to visit you in Portsmouth, and she was I think she was probably about 6 months later or 8 months later, and you were still in jail. And you said, "Oh my gosh, you are the baby crew," you know.
So long. I was just stayed 3 weeks about, so it wasn't long for me. So in jail. But I met nice people there, Combela, Wilson Sedina, and even
But
Rasul was there.
you were first incarcerated in some other
Brackenfell,
place,
yeah,
and then they moved
confinement.
you to Pollsmoor.
Uh,
But it was a while. It was, or maybe
so,
my mind is a
yeah,
little
maybe
bit.
your mind, but I don't think it was so long. But anyway, nice people like Wilson Sedina got. I don't know if you even know Wilson Sedina. He was like the chairman of the council later of the ANC and so on, of the housing sector.
Were you incarcerated with him? They
Yeah,
they put you in
yeah.
one
And
cell.
Rasul was also there.
Okay.
Ibrahim Rasul was
Oh, wow.
also there.
Wow.
But for me, it was nice. Actually, I don't complain about it. We were playing games and so on. But it was very segregated, you know, like when we were there, like the blacks on one side and the colors on one side. When I came in there, I mixed with Wilson them. I was more friends with Wilson them and so on.
But are you saying within the cell the people were
The cell, yeah.
segregated, so they were separated, and yet you were all activists?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
But you know me, like we non-racial people and so on. So I maintained my friendship with Wilson Sedina for a very long time.
Wow.
Got him now later in the ANC and so on. And Combela, I think he passed on now. He lost his legs, and Wilson came to show me this is Combela, and
Wow.
later on and so on, a humble gentleman. So you have all these stalwarts of the struggle, nice people, man. But they just seems to have faded somewhere and so on. It's a real tragedy about that.
Sure.
That you don't see those people. You know, Rasul made it like he went big time and so on.
But then we go to the question. You had the opportunities. You came out. You joined the civic with people like
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes. I remember.
Yeah, Wilfred Rhodes.
And Errol Davids. They were all your buddies and so on. And you made a
The one
big
Anthony
impact in Hanover Park itself.
Oh yes.
So
yes.
I remember you were telling the stories about the rental tribunals that you had, where you went to see the council and you guys, if they wanted to put somebody out or the people didn't pay their rent, you guys made big fusses there.
We were like almost, just say like we were the government of Hanover Park, if I can call it that, because we decided who got houses and who didn't. Not in the way like some people would come to us and say, listen, this people moved into my house, I had to get that house. Can't the civic do something about it? Then both parties would be there and we would decide, okay, we give you a week time to move out, these people must move in there, and they would listen to us, man. You know, like we were like ruling, like, you know, we had a street committee. Like the thing Hendrita is doing now.
Wow.
We did at that time, we had a street committee in every street, in every flat, court committee, and we were the only community that only had one civic. Lots of people had lots of civics and so on. If you wanted to start a civic, you'd be told, go there to room number 4, there's the civic and so on. And I remember once.
And you were well supported as well. I remember those meetings were chock-a-block full.
Every week, like we couldn't meet in the room anymore because it was too full, so we moved over to the community center to accommodate the people, and we couldn't be so structured because we were very structured. We started on time, but we were non-aligned, so we allowed the National Party people also to come into the meeting, the ANC people. Everybody was there, and we focused on being non-aligned and representing.
And it was really focusing on the issues.
On the issues.
It was the real issues. It was the people on the ground. And people appreciated that. I think they had the utmost respect for you.
Yeah.
And in fact, when the city opened up a housing complex there at the back of Newfields, I think you were the gentleman they asked to open up this thing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, you know, I was so shocked when I asked the people like once, listen, do you want 50 quality houses or do you want 500 houses, seeing that the need is there, man? And people say they want 50 quality houses, man. They can wait. They don't want this small houses and so on. And that's also an eye-opener because you just accept people want houses and so on. So it's important to listen to what the people want. And we work with the council. So the thing about organizing is people must see the benefit for them. If they're not going to waste their time coming to the meeting and singing a song, if they want fun, they can do that. But there must be a benefit for them. They can see if you go there's going to be a benefit. So you work on you must explain to people why you must come and what's your benefit going to be, like in that sense. So we've that I think that's the last time they built the houses, but we don't want any more houses. But a whole kind of a complex there. They call it Newfields Village, and then other places there. And we were asked to come and open it, and we had things like an overpark cottages that we also quickly put in our budget and so on. So we worked with the then DP that time, Neil Ross and those guys, man. We worked with them, and we could do things for the people, and we had a kind of understanding that we were ruling like an overpark. Like one day I can remember an incident where Mr. Galant, Rahman Galant, passed on, comrade of note. He stood for the ANC, by the way, for councillor. And he said, Mr. Chair, I just want to say that the housing crisis is getting so bad that I think we have to open our yards for people to come and live in our yards now. So I'm thinking, no man, I don't want people in my yard now. I mean, really, that's not what I intend. I mean, I'm staying in Newfield.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, the thing is that we must put blame where blame is to be put. Like the council and the government is responsible for building houses. And if we must put into people's yards, we'll put it into the government's yard and the council's yard, you know? Okay, and people understood. So the next day, I'm teaching, like I'm a teacher, teaching at primary school in Bonteheuwel. Got a call to say that Mrs. Brown's children moved into the council office with their beds. And I must come see because there's security people with guns forcing them out. And I had to tell them and say, I have to leave now and so on. I came there, Sean. This big guy like standing over with guns, shotguns. It's a council, I think, a Metro Police. And Gladys Jones, also stalwart in the overpark, saying, Mr. Nefdt, it's him, he's rude to us and so on. And I'm thinking, oh, what I do, I said, I took up my pen and say, I'm going to write this guy's name down. And no, it's not me. Luckily, this guy was not like in his head, man. Sure. And I phoned Neil Ross saying, hey Neil, what's going on here? You know, like we are like in charge here and so on. So Neil said, okay, you call off the Metro Police and so on and so on.
And it shows the influence and the respect they had for you at the time as well.
Even like that time, I didn't know about it, but people respected me, man. Like my car used to stand until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock there, only car on the terminus. And gangsters and stuff would just leave my car, like, you know, they wouldn't touch my car. Only afterwards, when I left the Civic, I heard like they break into the secretary's car and so on. You know, like, but they never touched my car.
Strange coincidental, maybe. I know that you've listened to Ryland Fisher's one. He was actually mentioning that a lot of these gangsters actually came into the Civic at one stage to find out what role they must play type of thing, the boycotts and stuff like that. So they took the cue from the people in the civics at the time.
Amazing, they had respect for us. I think we managed some conflict between gangs, man, at the police station and so on. But I thought it was a waste of time because they were, you got this case and you must withdraw this case and I must withdraw this case and you got this case and then we'll have peace and so on. And you know what Mr. Galant did? Mr. Galant, he went to the council and there were some gangsters living there, and them, I think it's young Americans or whatever. And he told the council, these are the names, give them all eviction notices. All of them. It's about 9 families. And they all got eviction notices sent to them. And we know where they're going to run to. They were going to run to us. And Mr. Galant said, you guys, Mr. Galant, oh, that guy was powerful.
Fantastic.
He was the housing chairperson. He told them, your children are the cause of this. And their children got hiding from their parents. So we withdrew that again to but that's the way we solved. And if you join the civic or you join the youth movement, then it's okay, the gangsters allowed you to do that. Church, if you became converted or you joined the youth movement, then it was okay.
And at the end of the day, like you said prior to in the interview itself, is that if people have a common purpose, in other words, they know what they're getting out of the civic. You know, you're offering them something.
There must be some benefit.
This is what we're giving you. For this, you need to do this and this and that. you need to keep your children into them or whatever.
And I must give the DP, I think, with Neil Rosen, I must give them credit because we could like go to them and we could walk in there and we could hassle them and they would come out to us, man. Like, and like fire brigading the people like the fire brigade, and we planned that and so on. So if people wanted that, they had to meet with us and we had house meetings and it must start, and that helped us, man. Working with the council. And it benefited them because people in Novo Park in 1980s and early 90s, they were paying up. That woman, Miss Francis, got promotion because of we could organize them, we could organize their budget, how could they pay off and all that. They actually benefited. But when the ANC took over the council, it was a mess, man. Sure. We no longer got respected. Our letters weren't answers, and our mistake was not challenging them again because we wouldn't want to be seen to be counter-revolutionists. But they were messing up everything, man. Stable communities were like just
folded.
Sure.
Joseph, I know at one stage you were honored by the city of Cape Town, where you got the award recognizing the efforts that you put in Novo Park. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think Anthony promoted me a lot there. And he actually forced for community award for us. And so I think, and then Antonio van der Rede also invited me to their council thing to award me also. So quite a few awards. But I think the proudest moment was that when the Civic gave me an award for serving for, I don't know, 20 years or so, and a nice letter from our now departed Fahmi Abbas, the secretary of the Civic, out and so on. So they were very appreciative. They knew I didn't take nonsense. Then in Novo Park, you can't you just have to say your say, and this is how it is. And they trusted my judgment. You have to be like that. They must trust your judgment. Look, there were many other organizations also, but we dealt on a basis of mutual respect, and I think that's the way to go about it.
Joseph, thank you very much for this interview. Just before we sign off, I'd like to just get some opinion from you on the way forward. Like you said, if people can see a benefit into society, what is the way forward? What do you see government should do, people should do to get us into the space where you were with Novo Park, basically, where people say, listen, we need homes, we need decent homes, we're prepared to wait another 5 years if we have to, if you build decent homes for us, you know?
Sean, I've listened now to your first interview with Donnie Jurgens. Yeah? Now that's the type of people we must get into government, to being councillors, to being politicians. People that has got the interests of people at heart, and they listen to people. That's not the real politicians that how politicians are. They will know where to side, how to keep their mouth, not to be principled and move up and get their family to vote for them and move in. So we need to get the Donnie Jurgens kind of a guys into parliament to really work and to change those things that are not happening now. I think for me, I want to focus. I see the Black Shares has this thing going of that I've been a proponent of this, of the basic income grant. So I want to put my weight behind getting the basic income grant to work, because there are too many. I think 16 million people are really impoverished in our country, not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. So that we must cancel out. So even if we just start slowly, maybe giving, say, the 50-year-olds some income, a little bit of income, or maybe there's a woman or something like that, and just to alleviate the poverty, because things are terrible, man. Things don't seem to change for the super poor, people.
And it's also, just to intervene there, it's also a festering of criminality waiting to happen.
Absolutely. Like for me, I know when I was poor, my mind was turning to crime and so on. How am I gonna survive? I need to do something, man. Luckily, but not really going into crime. But if you don't have really nothing, Your mind is going to stand, hey, I'm going to steal something. Maybe I can take this without noticing, or take somebody's jersey or somebody's shoes and sell it and so, because you have to survive. So once you are poor and you have nothing, and people understand this, your mind turns to, and the criminals, most of them are being used by other people, man, to hijack cars, rob people, and the gangs give it. It's not easy to just to decide I'm going to become a gangster. It's a decision that you have to take, and it's not a difficult. It's a difficult decision. Breaking into people's houses is not easy. You don't know what awaits you. So it's not. I'm not saying it's not easy being a gangster. So to counter that, we must. If you can't give people work, and we know there's no work, we have to give them something in that space.
Yeah, I think something that you mentioned before as well is that if you do give them, once again, the same thing that we mentioned before, you are benefiting them, you can set rules to that benefit.
Absolutely.
So you say, listen, if your kids are involved in crime, if you can't control them, they're in your home, we will take this benefit away from you. Now, once again, suddenly, this becomes now, guys, you have to behave, otherwise we won't have food in the home. So it's also a controlling mechanism for governments to say, listen, we're giving you money, we're giving you support, control, keep your kids or whoever, your husband or you yourself from doing crime type of thing. You know, if you're found guilty of crime, this will be taken away from you. Joseph, thanks once again. Thanks for your time. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah.
And thanks very much for coming. Lovely.
Yeah.
Cool.